The championship point system has been like this since it was introduced. You can cheese it and get an undeserved invite for Worlds by just sinking a ton of money into it, or you can be a really good player and still be punished and not really feel like it's worth it. Like, if there's only one regionals I can make it to for a year, I'm not going to go. And you know why I'm not going to go? Because it's not worth it to me. I get first place, I do all that training, I'm not a world-class player. Let's wrap it up. Let's conclude this Death of VGC saga by just answering everything, hitting the hardest points as to why nobody is playing VGC right now. You know, here's the question we've been sticking to. How come you don't attend Pokemon Regionals? This video, all my other videos, are addressed to you, Pokemon, because you can't just put your fingers in your ears anymore, go, la la la, Verlisify doesn't mean anything, la la la, we can just ignore him and all the problems are gonna go away. There's nothing wrong with Pokemon, la la la. No, no, no. That's not what's happening right now, because I've been calling this for years. I've been saying all the problems. I said in the last video, it's not worth it for me to travel. I said in the video before that, there's way too much hacking. You need to enforce your rules, but the biggest thing, like, there's a lot of big things for me personally, like hacking and travel are the bigger things for me personally, but the biggest thing, affecting the community as a whole. It doesn't matter what the vocal minority say. If you get all these people saying, oh, but I go to the events, oh, there isn't a problem, that's the vocal minority of people that are already cemented in VGC, that are the smallest fraction. You can't listen to the vocal minority. That's how you get screwed up. That's how you lead to the situation you're in right now. It's all the people that are quiet out there because they don't care about you anymore. They're done with this whole VGC thing, even though they wanted to. They gave it a chance, but you blew it, Pokemon. At some point, you hired the wrong people. You got the wrong idea. I already saw this destruction coming when at an unofficial Pokemon event, Scott Glazzo rolled in there, recognized me, went, yo, that's, well, okay, I can't speak for him exactly, because then that's slander, but my interpretation of what Scott Glazzo did to me at an unofficial event was, rolled up, saw me doing my shenanigans over there, completely following the rules, and went, that's that Verlisify jerk. Alright, I'm going to talk to the judge and I'm going to give him a loss, because he went up to a judge, flashed a Pokemon employee card saying, hey, I work for Pokemon. This guy's making things up. When really, Scott Glazzo, I have video proof of this, Scott Glazzo was the one making up a rule that did not exist, and I was following the rules, but he, you know, just bias came in, and that's the problem. There's so much bias riddled throughout your company. There's enough bias to where it's like, oh, hacking's okay. We can't expose hacking or do anything about that. The Pokemon Company has hired people who have cheated at events like Ray Rizzo, and then that just shows. They're all tied together. Ray Rizzo, even as a commentator, Cybertron as a commentator, still friends with all the other VGC people. It's the elitism. It's the championship point circuit. It's the absolute failure of having no one that has any idea how to run an esport in Pokemon, just putting their fingers in their ears and going, well, we have our people, and that's kind of it. You just look out for each other. We're not looking out for the people that are supposed to be supporting you, or the people that are supporting you. At some point, Pokemon, you lost what it means to care about Pokemon for this. That by charging $50, you forgot that this is a kid's game. How are kids going to afford $50? There's bigger games with bigger prize pools that have less of an entry fee. You started kicking people out. You started condensing it, like, who's going to pay $50? The most dedicated people that are already supporting this, that are already in it, and are already destroying the community. So you're emboldening the people that aren't pushing the game forward, and then you're locking out those who want to come in. And case in point, the biggest joke of the Pokemon competitive scene are the championship points. When this system was enacted, competitive Pokemon meant nothing. Whoever came up with this idea, I mean, saying they need to be fired, it's a little harsh, but if you need someone that's going to run your scene properly, this is not your guy. Because the championship points, it seems like they tried to create a circuit. Problem about a circuit is that you need to go to the events, that there's a timely order. You go to this event one month, you go to that event the next month, you go to that event the next month, and you get tons of points and tons of prizes. Problem is, we have multiple regionals happening on the same weekend, so you can't really circuit that out. And while all that is going on, you also have to be constantly keeping up with these random premiere events and mid-season showdowns that are fairly inaccessible for the most part. There's so many of them, so it feels like it should be accessible, but this is a big country, and just some areas, you know, you don't have enough events to where you can keep up with the points. It just defeats the point. There's no circuit going on right here, and then we get into the actual point breakdown. So 2 per series on Premier Challenges. That means you have to, like, do well at 2 Premier events. You're not going to get first at every single Premier event you go to, kind of, for the most part. At the same time, you know, only several people are showing up. There there's events where like 6 people have showed up for a Masters Premier event, and none of them might not be top quality, high class Pokemon trainers. They might not even know IV training. There might just be that one hacker there and the judge doesn't care because he supports hacking, because there's a lot of judges and tournament organizers out there that condone hacking, or at least they look the other way. It's like, that's really suspicious, but we're not going to do anything about it. And then that means that guy just gets free championship points and gets the sweep. If there's 2 events at the same place in the same season or something, or in the same series, that's going to be free points right there. So you have to go to 8 events to get those championship points right there, and that's not even enough to go to Worlds. So getting like just the maximum amount of points from overly dedicating these premier events, that's gonna be enough. What about mid-season showdowns? Well, again, 2 per series. That doesn't make sense. It's like a mini regionals. It's a mid-season. It's a showdown. It seems like a larger event, but you still get 2 per series, and then you can still max that out and get a ton of points. But even with all that, even going like perfect on mid-season showdowns, perfect on premier challenges, doing all that travel, that's 16 events. If you don't get first place of all, and that's potentially 20 events or more, if that's even physically possible at that point. Then we have regionals. So regionals in itself makes everything else irrelevant. Best finish limit, no limit. So what you're saying is, if I'm a bad Pokemon player and I have a lot of money, I can just go to as many events as I want, do okay, because look at this. Like, let's see 50 points. So 64th. If I get top 64, I'm getting the same as a first place in a mid-season showdown if 200 people show up. I mean, by that point, since VGC is kind of on its way down, if people do bad in the beginning, they drop. So they're going to get pushed down to the bottom of the list. If someone is dedicated enough to stay all day and at least break even, that's probably close to getting 50 points. If more people show up, that's at least 40 points right there. If you have a good run, that's 60, 80 points. Like, you don't have to be a good player to get enough points to then start qualifying for Worlds if you start adding up that way. So you choose a couple, like, it's just about that over dedication that no other esport requires on top of these, like, supposed legitimate play. Because I already feel like somebody out there is going to say, well, you've said many times in the past, it's all about the hard work that builds an esport for Pokemon, therefore that's why hacking is bad. But when it comes to the game, you have every possible thing there to play legitimately and to create a legitimate team for Pokemon. When it comes to this, that means you have to have all this travel, all these expenses that no one else has. This is where it becomes uneven. This is where the playing field doesn't really line up, because even though it's like you have this large country, you have all these places where some people, they're just not going to have access to as many events as other people. Some just have a card shop down the street that hosts several premier events. Others, they have to drive 10, 15, 20 miles, if they even have transportation, to get out to one event for the season. So the point system just doesn't add up. And again, if I just have money, or if I just start spamming events, I don't have to be the best player in the country. I don't have to be the best player in the region. I can eventually just kind of scrounge up all the points. Like, look at this right here. For Masters, it's 400 points. So just by kind of like doing math, you can kind of find a cheesy way around this. And then really, there's no guarantee for Worlds except for Internationals. So again, Internationals, that's going to be the big travel. That's the one in the center of the country. You have to fly out for, you spend the whole weekend, lots of fees, lots of like expenses right there, just to have a chance. Like if you get top 2. So the second best player in the country for the Nationals is it. Third best player, if say you get third at Nationals, you are not a Worlds class player to Pokemon. You do not get to go to Worlds off of that performance. What? So, getting third or fourth in the largest event for the nation can be cheesed out by someone that's spamming regionals, spamming premier events, spamming all these stupid things. And also look at this, VGC International Championships, best finish limit 4. So again, if you're one of these baller family, rich, spoiled VGC players that just hacking themselves up to the top, and you can actually make it to the Europe International, the Oceania International, all these other internationals, there's a 4 best finish limit, not even 1. So that means to get your 400 points, you just get top 128 or, top 64 or something. So you can be the 64th best person in a country and still qualify for Worlds through multiple countries and stuff like that. Also, there's a lot of bleed right now. Then that means points are being taken from the locals for all these people that are flying in from other areas, just kind of flex and prove that they can do it. Or if they just have like the prize money, you win a regional, you get a couple $1,000s, you can use that for airfare to an international outside of your country. You steal the points away from other people, they qualify for Worlds. You see all these people, they over level, they get all these points. So once you break that 400, you also start getting like better travel stipends and stuff. Like check this out, day 2 invitations. Top 8 players from US and Canada get day 2 invitation to world. So that means like you get a pass. That means people are going to have to be grabbing for more points and fighting over more points that don't really exist, taking it from locals in other countries, or just kind of, you know, going to all these regionals and just boosting up your point score when you're not really that good of a player. Like, the joke here is that getting first place at regionals means nothing. You're the best player in the region, and you are not a world-class player to Pokemon. I think that that's where you can see that all the spirit, any idea, whatever fundamentals of Pokemon have been lost by the people at the Pokemon Company International. And is it like, is the entire place corrupted? Are you not allowed to speak out against all these things going wrong in the Pokemon Company? Does everyone just fall in line and agree and like, yep, this is the perfect system, everything's great, it's not our fault that VGC players are dropping, but we still need to ask why VGC players are dropping, because it makes us look really bad when I've been talking about these problems for years. So, I don't get it, guys. Like, I think this is a good way of concluding it. At some point, I'm just going to start repeating myself, and for the most part, I'm just still surprised. Like, $50. A lot of the things that happened for 2018, I wasn't keeping up with it. I don't really care. So, the shenanigans of the 2018 VGC have slid under radar, and apparently it just gets worse. It gets worse and worse every year. I hope it's going to get better. It just doesn't. And right now, it's just an absolute mess. Because it's not just me. It's my audience. It's people that share the same ideas as my audience. We start getting into large portions of Pokemon community that could change all of your events. But no, you guys just decided to stay out of it, and you have this weird championship point system. The championship point system has been like this since it was introduced. You can cheese it and get an undeserved invite for Worlds by just sinking a ton of money into it, or you can be a really good player and still be punished and not really feel like it's worth it. Like, if there's only one regionals I can make it to for a year, I'm not going to go. And you know why I'm not going to go? Because it's not worth it to me. I get first place. I do all that training. I'm not a world-class player. I might, like, technically you could use that money to go to the next event. Well, what if I can't? You know, what if I just don't want to travel that much? What if I have a job? What if my family's just not going to let me leave the state or leave, you know, that guidance and stuff? What if only 200 people show up to that regionals I win, so I only get $1,000 instead of $5,000? There's no support except for the high-level players, and they're already cemented in it. They have nothing else in their lives. They hack the game, they dedicate all their time, and then they're just going to cheat over you. So no one cares about Pokemon right now, and it's your fault. Not enforcing the rules, having this garbage system, and just pretending that all the problems don't exist. Thank you very much for watching.